February 2010, Moscow. Temperature minus 42 degrees. This is no longer an anomaly. This is the new normal. The paradox of climate collapse proved cruel. While the equator transformed into a scorched desert, Russia plunged into a new ice age. When the Gulf Stream stopped in 2067, Europe froze within 3 winters. Berlin and Paris emptied. London disappeared beneath the ice of the Thames. And Moscow survived. Today, a gigantic energy dome called ThermoShield looms over the capital, the brainchild of the Rosatom Climate Corporation, 20 kilometers in diameter. Inside the dome, a stable temperature of minus 5 degrees is maintained, a luxury for which residents pay 80% of their income in energy tax. Beyond the dome, white death, eternal blizzard, ghost towns of the Moscow region, buried under 30-meter snowdrifts. The population of Moscow, 2,100, is 42 million people. Survivors from all across Eurasia flowed here. Here there is still energy. Here the reactors still work. Here one can still live. But at what cost? Moscow grows not outward, it grows upward and downward. The skyscrapers of Moscow City long ago became the foundation for second-generation megastructures. The Federation Vertical Tower rises 2 kilometers high. 300,000 people live in it, and most of them haven't descended to ground level in the last 20 years. 180 floors of residential capsules, vertical farms on every 10th level, their own waste processing plants. This is a city within a city. The tower has its own mayor, police force, and even a dialect, incomprehensible to residents of the lower levels. But the real Moscow is the underground. 70 levels down, the old metro became the arteries of a giant subterranean metropolis. The Circle Line transformed into, quote, 2, a commercial highway where the neon lights of Sintapro and BioLife Corporation advertisements never go dark. Transportation is completely autonomous. Magnetic capsules of the Pulse Transit system hurtle through tunnels at 400 kilometers per hour. The old stations, Mayakovskaya, Komsomolskaya, are now museums where schoolchildren are taken to look at ancient rails and wheeled carriages. On the surface, movement has almost stopped. Too expensive to heat the streets. Only cargo wolf freight drones dart between warehouses and loading terminals, shaking frost from their titanium hulls. And even higher beneath the dome itself float the elite's residential platforms, the cloud residences. Artificial islands on anti-gravity engines by Gravtech Moscow. From there, a view opens onto the entire city. Below, the cramped blocks of residential arcologies, smoking pipes of bioreactors, the flickering web of energy bridges. And beyond the dome, an endless white void of eternal winter. In Moscow, 2,100, there is no middle class. There are dome dwellers and sub-level dwellers. Above, the technocratic elite, climate system engineers, biohackers from Gensynthes Corporation, power grid managers. They live in the cloud residences, where air is purified to medical standards, where real trees still grow in enclosed greenhouses, where one can drink tap water without fearing nanofiltration parasites. Their children study at the Academy of New Humanity, a closed school where neural interfaces called Synapse 7 are implanted at age 5 and where they're taught quantum programming on living neural networks. Below, the Mercury Camara, quote, 6. 40 million people crammed into residential blocks of 100 square meters for 150 residents, capsule apartments 2 by 3 meters, a sleeping spot, an augmented reality terminal, a hook for clothes, shower, once a week by schedule, 3 minutes per person. A typical day for a resident of the 43rd level begins at 5 in the morning. Wake up by signal from the Effect Control corporate alarm. The system tracks heart rate and won't let you oversleep. Breakfast, a synthetic protein bar called NutriBar Standard. Flavor, imitation scrambled eggs. Calories, exactly what the labor contract requires. Work, 12 hours at biosynthesis factories, in garbage processing shops, on hydroponic farms where genetically modified wheat variety Moscow Winter Hardy 16 grows under ultraviolet light. Wages arrive not as money but as credits on a Trud Resure's corporate card. With them, you can buy food, pay for your capsule, buy hours at the virtual reality entertainment park, but never enough to move to an upper level. Between the elite and the sub-level dwellers exists a phantom layer, the contractors. Specialists who agreed to 15-year contracts with megacorporations. Surgeons, drone pilots, climate station operators. They live better. Separate rooms, synthetic meat 3 times a week, access to second-tier medicine, but they are not free. Breaking the contract is punished by biological arrest. An implanted chip blocks adrenaline and dopamine, turning a person into an emotionless shell for 6 months. Moscow stands on 3 pillars: energy, biosynthesis, and recycling. Energy is sacred. 12 thermonuclear reactors of the Tokamak Siberia series operate at maximum capacity to maintain the dome, heat the underground, power the factories. Every kilowatt counts. For exceeding the energy limit, a fine of 3 months' salary or forced labor at cryogenic stations beyond the dome. There is no food. More precisely, there is nothing that people of the 21st century called food. Meat is synthetic, grown in bioreactors by Sintepro Industries from stem cells of cows that went extinct in 2071. Taste, acceptable. Texture, like a sponge. Protein, complete. Vegetables are hydroponic, under artificial sun on underground farms. Tomatoes the size of cherries. Potatoes with a bluish tint from genetic modifications for accelerated growth. Vitamins come separately in Vitacomplex Nord tablets. But the basis of the diet is protein paste called Nutrimass, produced from cultivated algae and mealworm larvae. 1 serving, 500 calories, complete set of amino acids, omega-3, fiber. Flavor corrected by flavorings. Quote 9, quote 10, quote 11. The population eats this 70% of the time. Water is a closed cycle. Every drop is recycled at least 20 times. AquaCycle premium purification systems extract moisture from air, urine, sweat, condensation. Safe to drink, but the chlorine aftertaste remains. The second economy is shadow. Beyond the dome in abandoned satellite cities, quote, 12, quote, Rome. Stalkers who break into old houses, extract antiques, rare metals, pre-revolutionary artifacts. The old world market thrives. A real book in paper binding costs a sub-level worker's annual salary. A can of Coca-Cola from 2024, a museum treasure. Crime has almost disappeared, not because people became kinder, because almost no freedom remains. Moscow 2100 is a panopticon, 100 million surveillance cameras of the all-seeing eye system. The Guardian Alpha neural network analyzes every step, every word, every glance. The algorithm predicts crimes 48 hours before they're committed. Accuracy, 73%. The system makes mistakes, but courts trust it more than witnesses. Police are drones. Patrol Unit K9 series, autonomous hunters with facial recognition, biometric scanners, electroshock weapons, and Peacemaker 2 neurogauze. They don't take bribes. They don't feel fatigue. They execute protocol. Human police officers remain only in elite districts as a status symbol. A live cop at the entrance to a cloud residence means truly important people live here. There are no prisons, too expensive to maintain. Instead, consciousness correction centers. The convicted are connected to neurosimulators where they live through hundreds of years of virtual punishment in several months of real time. A murderer experiences their victim's death 1,000 times. A thief lives the lives of those they robbed. They emerge broken but corrected. And then there's quote 14, the unofficial death penalty. Particularly dangerous criminals are simply led beyond the dome, without a spacesuit, without heating, given a flashlight as farewell. Theoretically, to the nearest abandoned bunker, 17 kilometers. No one has walked farther than 3, but the real threat isn't criminals. It's the sects of warmth. Religious fanatics who believe the dome is a sin, that humanity must accept the cold as divine punishment. They commit terrorist acts at power stations, sabotage residential block heaters. In 2096, one cell nearly collapsed the dome over the Tverskoy district. 200,000 people died in 4 minutes while emergency systems restored the field. Now for mentioning the sex of warmth and personal correspondence, preventive neurocorrection for 30 days. Moscow 2100 is a triumph of human will. We built paradise under a dome when the entire world was freezing. We fed 40 million when harvest arnas stopped growing. We created civilization in the midst of apocalypse. But it's paradise with the aftertaste of synthetic protein and the smell of recycled air. Here no one remembers the taste of a real apple. Here children draw the sun from archival photographs. Here the word freedom sounds like the name of an ancient city that long ago sank. Old people who witnessed the world before the dome tell their grandchildren about snow you could touch with bare hands, about rain that fell from the sky just like that, not pumped from atmospheric condensers, about forests where trees grew, not in greenhouses, but on their own. Millions of trees, from horizon to horizon. The grandchildren don't believe them. For them, these are fairy tales. For them, reality is a concrete capsule on the 43rd level, a 12-hour shift at a hydroponic farm, and 2 hours a week at the virtual reality park, where you can feel like a hero, a winner, a human being. Moscow survived. Humanity survived. But the question remains, what did we lose along the way? When the last person who saw a real dawn closes their eyes forever, will the memory of who we were disappear with them? Or have we already become different? Not people of the 21st century who survived catastrophe, but a new species, Homo climatus, climate human, born under a dome, living by algorithms, nourished by synthesis. Evolution or degradation? Salvation or slow extinction in a cocoon of titanium and despair? Moscow 2100 provides no answer. It simply exists, enormous, immortal, merciless, and above it, through the energy dome, through the eternal blizzard, sometimes, very rarely, a weak light from the distant sun breaks through. No one raises their head to see it, no time. The shift begins in 10 minutes.